Hi guys, I'm Kasha. Welcome to our coffee times to talk about horror. And you know very well which day it is. It's that day when you put many books into your cart, into your wish list, the day you pre-order books you never even knew existed. You're welcome.
It's coffee time!
So today we are going to be taking a look at 34 new releases for the month of May. They are all horrors and thrillers. I have, I think, one middle grade this time. I have a couple of YAs and of course a lot of adult horror and thrillers. So let's get to the list. Let's start with admitting that in one of my last videos, I lied. I lied to you because unconsciously I was planning and doing my May TBR and I commented on the video saying that the next David Sodergren book was gonna come at the end of the year, but I was wrong. So I'm kind of sad that I lied to you because I don't like to lie, but I'm excited because it means his new book comes out on the 1st of May. And it means that I can already get my new David Sodergren book. It's called Death Spelled, obviously, by David Sodergren, and it has these beautiful and traumatizing cover. 25 years ago, a businessman called Ron made a pact in order to achieve power. But of course, every pact comes with consequences. Ron is the CEO of a global media empire and is also one of the richest men. But one day he's going to seek again the help of an architect that helped him and did a pact with him. But that is going to bring a lot of bad things into his life. And knowing David Sodergren probably is going to get really, really messy. And I'm here for it. I mean, I don't need any excuse to buy this book the moment that it's available. I'm ordering it. Next we have The Mirror Man by Will Forbes. When a viral sex video humiliates a small town beauty queen, Mason and his college friends start to also mock her and make fun of her. But one day a masked killer appears and starts to target everybody that has left really cruel comments to this girl and is starting to kill them. So, you know, actually I don't mind this killer's, choices. This is going to be a bloody slasher and that is my happy place. The Undoing of Alejandro Velasco by Diego Boneta, and this is a mystery thriller. After Alejandro Velasco is found dead, a beautiful stranger comes to the family house to pay his respects. But he will soon become kind of blinded by the family, all their opulence, their state, and also the charm of the daughter. On the other hand, we start to learn that Alejandro's death might not have actually been an accident. And one of the reasons why I have this book high on my list is because I have seen people compare this to Saltburn. And I love that movie so much. I watched it like 3 or 4 times already. I love that movie. And if there's anything similar to that in this book, I need to know. Then we have Portlac by Timothy King, and this is a creature horror. Nearly 80 years ago, the community in the small town of Portlac was thriving, and it is a small town that was in Alaska. However, some mysterious deaths and animal attacks made the whole people in town flee and abandon their homes. The town has been since re-inhabited, there's new people living there, and then a dead body is found again. The sheriff is sent to investigate, and what seems to be a random attack that is really grisly turns out to be something bigger. As the bodies pile up, of course they are investigating the past of the town and they realize maybe they shouldn't have moved there. Below the Grand Hotel by Kat Scully, and this is historical horror fiction. They say this is The Great Gatsby meets Hellraiser in this novel that is based in the 1920s. That is a very, very interesting mix. Now granted, I have never read The Great Gatsby, I kind of know the story, but of course I'm a fan of Hellraiser and I'm intrigued. Mabel has big plans for herself, but she doesn't have the money. So she kind of has to resort to pickpocket, and by doing so she even does it to rich people. And one day, however, she does it to the wrong person and ends up losing her soul to a hotel where there's evil inside. It is the Grand Hotel, which is a hotel that is basically run by demons. It's also a place where artists can make it big, so in a way Mabel's kind of dream comes true, because by losing her soul, she's also able to perform at the hotel and become popular, which is what she wanted in the first place. But of course, Mabel realizes that losing her soul in order to achieve all the dreams and everything she ever wanted has a much higher cost than she anticipated. Then we have Overgrowth by Mira Krant, and this is sci-fi horror. I'm really excited because I have really enjoyed other books by the author, and I am ready for more sci-fi horror. This is kind of like body horror slash alien invasion story, and this sounds really good to me. Sounds kind of different for the author as well. I don't think she's done much body horror, even though some of her other stories have pretty gruesome kills, but I'm really excited. I mean, I love body horror. Since she was 3 years old, Anastasia Miller has been telling people that she's actually an alien and that people from her planet are soon gonna come to Earth. But obviously they think it's just the little girl's kind of, imagination, so nobody believes her. That is until humanity finally realizes that they might be coming, the aliens, and now it's a little bit too late to plan. I'm really excited about this one, like I said, and it's going to be one of the ones that I really need to get. The Night Birds by Christopher Golden, and this is a horror thriller. Brooke works for the wildlife department, and she has been sent to do an investigation on a ship that has been stranded for a very long time and has created kind of on top of it and inside of it its own ecosystem of plants and animals, and she's being sent there to investigate the phenomenon. It is a 19th century freighter that it is half sunken, and everybody's really excited about this discovery, but obviously I'm expecting that when she gets there things are gonna be a little bit more dangerous than what she was warned about. She's thinking, oh, I'm just gonna go there, gather information, everything easy peasy. But I don't think so. I don't think it's gonna be that easy peasy. But I think when he gets there, he's going to realize that this half-sunken ship probably hides other things in there as well. There might also be a reason why these things are happening, this kind of ecosystem. So I'm expecting, obviously, things are not gonna work out that well for our main character. This sounds again very interesting because you have that kind of wilderness horror aspect to it. I don't know how much importance that's going to have in the story, but it sounds different, and even though it is a horror story that takes place in a ship, it's very different. It's not a ship that it's at sea, it's not a submarine, it is a half-sunken ship that has created its own plants and things and organisms, and it sounds almost a little bit sci-fi-esque, so I'm intrigued. Then we have Murderland by Caroline Greenwald, and this is a YA mystery thriller. 17-year-old Billy feels like she's at the top of the world. She gets to spend the whole summer with her bestie, and she's making progress with her crush, and on top of that she is being promoted at her summer job at the theme park, so everything is going amazing for her. But the last night of the job is going to be a nightmare when her creepy coworker dies on a ride that she is not even supposed to be running. At first it looks like it might have been a heart attack, accident, but she soon realizes that this is no accident. Somebody has killed this person. And there you have it, a murder mystery to solve. Then we have The Manor Dreams by Christina Lee, and this is a horror gothic story. They say this is a mix between Everything I Never Told You and Mexican Gothic, so this is going to be very atmospheric. It's about the secrets that lie in the crumbling mansion of an older Hollywood starlet and the intertwined fates of the two Chinese-American families that are trying to inherit it. Vivian Jin is dead, and she was the first Chinese to receive an Oscar. She was very popular, she was really famous, especially in the 80s, but then after that she kind of turned into a recluse and retreated to her home, and now she's dead. So somebody wants to inherit everything. The remaining of family members have gathered now for the read of the will, and I'm guessing things are gonna get complicated, when there is money involved. Family is not something you can trust anymore, sadly. In hopes of claiming the mansion, both families move in there and they're probably gonna be like, I'm not moving my ass until I get the house. So I'm guessing things are gonna happen in the house. This is a gothic horror tale after all, so I don't know if it's the spirit or something from the deceased actress, but it's going to be probably fun as well because it has the whole family involved. The Devils by Joe Abercrombie, and this is going to be a horror book, and it's horror fantasy though, and it's going to be the first on a new series called The Devils. Brother Diaz has been summoned to the Sacred City, and he's hoping to finally get the recognition and to finally have an amazing new job. However, he's put in charge of the worst, the evil, the murderers, the people that have done the most atrocious things, and he's supposed to, you know, help them, reprimand them, and just deal with the unworthy. But evil is always around him, and Brother Diaz knows very well how to tame evil. This sounds like it's going to be a horror fantasy, but quite religious as well. So if you like religious horror, this might be your new epic horror fantasy. Don't Call Mom by Matt Wesolowski, and this is a horror thriller. Leo is just trying to catch his train back home when he's at the station a little bit disoriented, and then this crazy loud woman starts screaming, and the journey that he expected is not going to be as chill as it should have been, and it turns into a nightmare. The train ends up breaking down in the middle of the road, and there is something coming in, coming out. Is it a person? Is it a monster? And then one of the passengers mysteriously disappears. This book also has folklore in it, and Leo remembers a folklore tale that he learned when he was younger, when these events start to happen. But this book is also going to have some humor in it, so it's going to be for people that don't mind to have a little bit of humor in their horror. Pleasant Shade by Brad Thomas, and this is wilderness horror. 6 friends set out on a remote Tennessee trail. They are expecting to have a great adventure in the outdoors. However, things turn out for the worst. I feel like all of these stories, I have to say, things don't go as expected. Because obviously the woods have other plans for them, something that is going to be hunting them. What starts as an adventure becomes a fight for survival. Of Earthly Delight by Goldie Moldavsky, and this is a YA gothic horror. This is a YA contemporary gothic romance, so please keep in mind there's going to be romance in this one. Just wanted to mention it. I know not everybody loves romance in their books. Rose is not happy that she has to abandon New York to move to Connecticut, but when she gets there, she meets a boy, and she really likes this boy, and they start a relationship, and he decides to take her to this beautiful garden in the big family mansion, and she spends the summer of her dreams there. Or that's what she thought. There is a secret to that garden, and Rose will end up uncovering it. And after she does, she's going to have to rethink and question everything in her life. The 13 Doors of Black House by Lara Lavoie, and this is a middle grade. Maya has an argument with her best friend and somebody that collaborates with her for the school newspaper, and so because of that argument, she's looking for a new idea to write in the school paper as an article, and she's hoping to use the family vacation to a beautiful mansion to find a story there that she can write about. They're going to the Black House, and that house used to belong to Agatha Black, who was a writer. But when Maya and her family get to the Black House, the person, the host that receives them is very creepy, and so are the 13 doors inside of the house. Each of the 13 doors hides a secret, but opening them will have consequences. Maya and her cousin start to open doors but realize that they are unable to close them, and that is going to have consequences. So this sounds like a lot of fun, and I'm even intrigued about this one. I love the cover, and I think it's going to be perfect for a quick read, especially also if you're looking for a fast Halloween read. The Man Made of Smoke by Alex North, and this is a mystery thriller. Dan's life has been haunted by the memories of his childhood. He was attacked by a serial killer, but he survived, and he has dedicated his adult life to become a criminal investigator and to be able to help other victims. So when his father passes away, Dan decides to return to his hometown, and he starts to fear that the monsters from his past might still be there. So it's a story about fathers and sons escaping your trauma from the past, but also, of course, of killers. Out of Air by Rachel Rice, and this is a YA water horror. Fifi loves to be underwater. She feels at home when she's underwater, and 6 months ago, during an expedition, she and her friends discovered some ancient gold coins, and they became famous overnight because of this discovery. Doing another dive, Phoebe and her friend discover a cave that was supposed to be abandoned and lost and with a big treasure inside. However, when they make it out of the water that day and return home after that huge discovery, they start to realize that their bodies and their minds are different. Something in them has changed after entering that cave. Then we have Requiem by John Palisano, and this is a sci-fi horror. Eva is sent to fight an entity that is currently targeting Eden. Eden is a moon-sized cemetery in space, and I already love the concept of having like almost like its own planet cemetery thing going on out there in space. It's a very interesting way of keeping the dead. However, this entity is coming to be a party pooper and spoil the fun for everybody. It's getting the dead basically undead, and Ava has to find a way to put everybody at peace. Something I Keep Upstairs by J.D. Barker, and this is a horror thriller. For a haunted house to be born, someone has to die, and I could not agree more. 17-year-old Billy is really happy because his bestie, his best friend David, has just inherited a house in a nearby island, which means that they could spend their last summer before college in that house where there is no adults, no police, and they will be by themselves to do whatever they want. But as they dig deeper into the island's secrets and these house secrets, they are going to realize that there is some ancient evil in there that they have just awakened. What starts as an innocent, fun summer turns into a nightmare. Immaculate Conception by Ling Ling Huan, and this is a horror sci-fi. Enka meets Matilda at art school. Matilda is very talented and on the rise, and Enka is not able to get inspiration to do something proper, and she's quite frustrated. Enka is frustrated because she thinks she's not able to produce anything original when it comes to her art, so she becomes really obsessed with Matilda. Matilda starts to really rise and become more and more popular, and their friendship, of course, starts to kind of crumble, but then Enka is determined to do absolutely anything to keep that friendship. Enka ends up falling in love and marrying a billionaire who is supporting and funding a new technology that it is around empathy. This new technology heightens empathy, and it could potentially be able, for example, in the case of Matilda, to remove her trauma, which I guess would make her less of a good painter or artist, because sometimes the things we create are because of what happened to us and what we are as a person. So maybe by removing that, we would become completely different. So the sci-fi aspect of this book comes with what would happen if somebody would go into your brain and remove things. So I think this is going to be very interesting because it's all of the thoughts about, you know, autonomy, authorship, and also what makes us human. Bochica by Carolina Flores Cerchiaro, and this is a horror gothic that takes place in Latin America, and they say it's perfect for people that love Mexican Gothic or The Shining. We are in 1923 Colombia and a mansion called La Casona where Antonia's family used to live, and they moved into that home knowing that there were rumors about spirits being in that house and stuff, but they still moved in there. However, Antonia's mom jumped and committed suicide, and then the father tried to burn the house down with Antonia still in it. 3 years later, Antonia finds her mom's journal, her diary entries, and starts to figure out what happened, but also she decides to go back to the mansion that has now been turned into a hotel. This sounds really interesting, not gonna lie, and I would like to know more about this place. 1 in 4 by Lucinda Berry, and this is a mystery thriller. Dr. Lauren has been employed to be a consultant, like to help treat people that are in a reality TV show. And it is a reality TV show where former kind of like childhood Hollywood stars have been invited to participate, and they want to have people to support them in case they need to talk to a therapist or talk to someone. And The thing's going well, the job is going well. However, one of the contestants from this reality TV game ends up dead. In a house full of people that are narcissists and would kill for the spotlight, of course there's many secrets and we have to figure out what happened and who killed this person. Somewhere Quiet, Full of Light by Henry Corrigan, and this is adult horror. Eric is looking for a way out. He was born in poverty, he didn't have much, and he doesn't want his kids to live in the same situation. He doesn't want his kids to deal with landlords and debt and all of that. So when his intelligent husband Mike, who flips houses, has found this amazing house in New York, he decides to jump and take the chance. It is obviously an abandoned house that they want to renovate, and instead of flipping, they might even stay there to live. But when the family gets to the home, as we all know, things are not gonna go as well as they had anticipated. A Cursed Age by A.M. Dunawin, and this is a nautical gothic tale. It is set in 1806 and it includes a cursed pirate as well as a wrathful sea witch. As far as I understand, Captain Ryland, who is a pirate, has been cursed by his ex-lover, who is a sea witch, and I think she has cursed him with immortality, so we could be talking here about vampires, which I'm really excited about. So he spends now his life trying to find the sea witch and seek revenge. Which, revenge, vampires, and everything at sea, it sounds like a lot of fun to me. All is fair in love, war, and revenge. Next we have Bookmail by Jason R. Davis, and this is psychological horror. Sometimes Bookmail is not the best mail. I would kind of disagree, but I'm guessing in this context, they might be right. Lexi just wanted a signed book by her favorite author, but she did not expect what the author might want back in return from her. This sounds right now really wrong, not gonna lie. Lexi wants to be the next big book influencer, and Jacob is an author that is very popular and he's known for kidnapping his fans, and basically after that he puts them in one of his new books as a character. So she decides to meet with him because obviously she also wants a signed book by him. This still sounds very wrong. Lexi is now his next victim, and she discovers the secret of his success. So Lexi now is trying to survive and she's trying to turn this secret against him. Will she succeed? Next we have Going Home in the Dark by Dean Koontz, and this is horror thriller. I just started reading Dean Koontz. I only read one so far and he's still putting books out there, so who knows when I will be able to even catch up with some of his books. Rebecca, Bobby, Spencer, and Ernie are besties when they were kids, and they were outcasts, and that's why they formed a bond in a good relationship. But three of them left when they started to grow up to go other places. However, now Ernie, who never left this town, has fallen into a coma, and his other three besties from his childhood are gonna return to their hometown to see him. It's been 2 decades since they left, and things have not really changed much in this town. The friends are hoping to find a way to bring back Ernie from this coma, to wake him up, but obviously as they start to make discoveries, things are not going to be as easy as they anticipated. Then we have Whistle by Linwood Barclay, and this is a supernatural horror book. Annie has had an unimaginable, terrible year. Her husband was killed in a hit and run, and one of her new children's books has been involved in a scandal, so she's definitely not having a good time. Desperate for a fresh start, she moves together with her son somewhere else, and they just want to start over. Charlie is bored in the new property. There's not much to do. His friends are not there, and he finds an old train and starts to play with it. Annie is glad to see Charlie happy playing with this train, but soon she realizes that there is something wrong with the toy. There's something wrong with that place. I think this one also touches a little bit on how grief can impact you mentally as well, which is something that I find really interesting in books. Next we have The Butcher's Daughter, which I'm really excited about because it's part of the Sweeney Todd universe, and it is the untold story of Mrs. Lovett, and it's written by Corinne Lee Clark and David Demchuk, and this is horror historical fiction. We all know the story of Sweeney Todd, or I hope that you guys do, or at least some of you should have probably seen the Tim Burton adaptation. I know it is a musical, you know, it has musical numbers in it, but I really love it because I like Tim Burton's style, which I know is not for everybody, but I love that we are now getting a story told from his partner in crime, Mrs. Lovett. It is based on the original Victorian Penny Dreadful that started it all, and I'm really excited. I think you should all be familiar with this story, but in case you're not, it includes cannibalism. It also takes place in London in 1887, so I love myself a London period piece, especially one that includes a very messy, very messed up story. This is one definitely that I'm going to read also as soon as possible because I have been waiting for this book for some time. Next we have We Live Here Now by Sarah Pinborough, and this is a horror thriller. I still have not read anything by the author, but I do have a couple of her books on my Kindle, so I feel like I should at some point read them, but I know many people love her books. After an accident nearly kills her, Emily and her husband decide to move from London to the countryside. The house is gorgeous and beautiful, but Emily finds there is something eerie, something that doesn't add up with this place that gives her a little bit the ick. She starts to feel a presence, she starts to hear things, but coincidentally, these things only tend to happen when she's alone. So is she losing her mind? Is it something really happening? Why it only happens when she's alone? Emily is also still taking medication from, you know, the aftermath of that accident that almost killed her, and that medication could potentially cause hallucinations. So Emily is really confused and she doesn't know if it's because of the medication, if she's going crazy, or if there's actually something going on in that house. Then we have The Starving Saints by Kathleen Starling, and this is a horror fantasy. I have only read one other book by the author, but I really enjoyed it, so I'm excited about this one because also the cover is fantastic. We are in a castle that has been under siege for 6 months, and resources are starting to disappear. There's almost no food left, and they're starting to question what they could do if they should, you know, get rid of some people inside of the castle. And that is when something happens. The castle's storage of food replenishes and the sick are healed, the wounded are healed. Constant Lady and her saints have arrived to save the day. The entire castle is in awe and in love with their saviors, and they throw parties and they really like become their gods to them. But there is a lot of things that are still gonna happen. Of course, it's not gonna be as easy as just everybody celebrated and it was a happy ever after. There was a sorceress that started to investigate these new people that arrived in the castle. There's going to be a lot of violence, and everything in the castle is going to turn from a banquet to a nightmare. I'm really intrigued about this one because it sounds very different. It almost sounds like a typical medieval story, but with all of these twists and turns of religion, because you have the saints and the fantasy elements to it as well. You have a sorceress, so it sounds like a very interesting mix. And you know, I really enjoyed The Luminous Dead by the author, which was very different, but I don't know, I have faith that I'm gonna enjoy this. Then we have Feeders by Matt Serafini, and it's another adult horror book. A video depicting the brutal murder of one of the classmates is leaked online, and Kylie decides that she wants to dig deeper and investigate and see where this video came from, and she discovers a place online called Monolive. This is a platform where obviously you have to agree to all of the terms and conditions if you want to join, and they seem to be rewarding bad behavior. Now Kylie is going to find out how far she's willing to go to get to the top. Next we have D7 by Philippe Fracassi, and these are short horror stories, and I finally recently read Voice in the Valley, and it has been my first Philippe Fracassi book, but I really loved it, so I'm excited to read more by the author. I think all the stories start with a haunted jukebox, and I think that's such a clever and interesting idea, or the stories are coming out of that, or the jukebox is kind of luring people in. So I don't know exactly, but I love the idea of having a jukebox kind of as the main thing, and I would like to see what he does with short stories, because Voice in the Valley was a bit of a chunkier book, so I would like to see what he does with small stories. Hold My Heart by Koji A. Day, and this is a horror novella. Emma suffers from extreme depression, and she has decided she's going to look for one of the worst serial killers that might kill her in the worst possible way. So Emma finds the serial killer that she wants to kill her, and they reach an agreement. However, Emma ends up backing off. And she also discovers that the serial killer that she chose is actually a host to a parasite. And this is where things start to get weird. So I don't want to talk too much about the rest of the plot that you can find on Goodreads, because it's a novella, so it's very short, so just take a look if you want to know a little bit more. But it sounds to me bonkers, and everything with serial killers, I'm intrigued, especially if you would maybe have this idea that serial killers are infected or hosted by other parasites, and that's why they do the things they do. That would be such an interesting idea. When Devils Sing by Chan Kaur, and this is a YA horror thriller. In the Southern Gothic horror novel, four unlikely allies are trying to investigate in a small town the disappearance of a teenage girl. But what they discover is something more ancient and more evil than they could have imagined, and is going to shock their whole community. This is for people that like She's a Hunting, True Detective, Midsommar, and I'm like, that sounds all perfect to me. So this is going to be the disappearance of a teenage girl in a place where disappearances are not that uncommon, and they're four people that are normally people that would not be working together find themselves doing so in order to try to figure out what is happening and why did this teenager disappear. Next we have a book that I have pre-ordered because it's Never Flinch by Stephen King, which is the next Holly Gibney story. I think it's number 4 already, and of course I will be picking this up. The police department receives a threat letter from a killer that is threatening to kill 13 innocent people and 1 guilty. So in total, this killer is planning to kill 14 people. The police thinks it might be a bluff, it might be a prank, a joke, whatever, but when the detectives realize that this is dead serious, they decide to call Holly to help them with the case. I'm excited about this one. I was not as happy as I wished reading Holly, and you guys probably remember my reasons why, but I didn't enjoy the first half of Holly. The second half was better, and I loved to hear more about the other character's perspective more than Holly's perspective in that particular book. So I don't know what to expect from Never Flinch, but I am excited because it's again a murder mystery case. We have Holly back, and I do like her as a character, but you guys know that Holly rubbed me the wrong way for, you know, the author trying to push his beliefs too hard down my throat, and I was not there for it. So I will see, but of course I have this pre-ordered. It is Stephen King. I pre-ordered it from Waterstones, and as soon as it comes, I would like to read it. Now this is the last book that I had on my list, and it's coming at the very end of May, so I don't think I will be able to read this until June, so I'm not planning to put this on my May TBR at all, so it's probably gonna go straight to my June TBR. So there you have it, you guys. Those are the 34 books that are coming out in May that I had on my list, and they are all horrors and thrillers. I hope that you enjoyed this list. Let me know down below if there's any particular books that you're really excited for that are coming out in May, or if there's any other book that is coming out that I should check out that I didn't mention. Please do let me know in the comments down below. Thank you guys as always so much for watching, and I hope to see you all in the next coffee time. Bye!